Hi, welcome to my final installment of this series for yoga therapeutics. And this one will concentrate on strengthening the wrists and the ankles, which are a problem for a lot of us, particularly women, because we have typically smaller bones, more delicate structures. But that's not to say that men don't have these issues as well. So we'll build our proprioception, we'll strengthen the ligaments to hold the joints better in place. We'll learn to kind of disperse the weight a little bit more evenly, see where the weak links are, as far as like supination and pronation, where we tend to land a little bit heavier. So as always, it's about preventing injury, working on the front side instead of the back side. But if you have been injured, please get the okay from your doctor before you start any program on your way to healing and back into your practice. So we'll first start in Vajrasana. So this is our thunderbolt position, which is very good for all of the joints, and it really helps to support the spine properly. Great pose for about everything that you want to do in a seated position. But if you need a little bit of help in this, if you have compression in the knee joint, or if the ankles are really a problem area for you, which is typical with a lot of people, especially I've noticed men have a typical issue with the fronts of the ankles being stiff, and the blocks will really help with that. So we'll start with the toes pointing back. We will use a block for feedback so that we find the evenness of the engagement of the inner and outer ankles and heels. So we'll sit down on the block, and if that's not working for you, you can always add another block and build onto that height. So there's a little bit more ease in the joints, or you just start on your knees and then just gradually start to land a little bit more weight in and up. So just go at your own pace, wherever you are, and remember everything takes time. And then when we do that a few times, we'll flex the toes, do the same thing, press the inner ankles against the sides of the block. Again, to build that feedback and proprioception. And if you stay down, and bring a little bit more weight into those toes, really opening up the toes so you really get a sense that all the toes are evenly pressurized. Sometimes not as easy as it looks. Okay. And then we'll come off of that, and we'll just work into opening up the finger joints. Okay, so I like this, get my finger pull. So extending the left arm, inhale, exhale, pull the little finger towards you. Next inhale, go one finger over. Exhale, pull that finger in. Really try to spread all of the 5 fingers apart. Next finger, inhale, exhale, pull in. Connective tissue can be really, really tough and really tight. Inhale and exhale, pull the index finger in. And then go under and just pull the thumb out to the side and stretch all 4 fingers away. And then inhale and exhale, pull the little finger of the right hand. Next finger. It's hard to believe how tight the connective tissue gets in the fingers and the toes. connective tissue is continuous from those distal points in the body all the way through and really meeting at the scalp. What goes on here and here really affects everything in between. Okay, and so we'll just massage the extensor muscles and the flexor muscles of the forearm, which help to work the wrists. So we'll start at the dorsum side, that's the top of the hand, and start right at the wrist, and just go between the bones and the tendons, and just go up and really pinch, use your hands, and really get in between the muscles as much as you can. So these are the extensor muscles of the wrists. And then on the opposite side, the opposing side, is the pericardium channel. And this works the flexors. And you can also go look back on my installment of the for the neck and the shoulders. And I go through a lot more of the finger channels and stretches for that. So you might want to revisit that or visit that if you haven't yet. Just go to the other one. Start with the extensor muscles. And then turn the palms of these up. And these are a lot of knots in here. Okay, and then just shake that out. Take a moment, just take a breath in. Through the nose and side out. Okay. And then what we're going to do now is just work into the fingers, the hands, and the wrists, and creating a little bit more strength for yoga practice or whatever you do in life. You know, we do a lot with our devices now, so we're always, you know, overusing the hands and the fingers. So it's really good about creating strength. And what we'll do is we'll start with just on hands and knees. I start a lot of my yoga classes this way, and extend the right leg and press through the heel, go back and forth a few times. And then we'll turn the left hand to face back. If it doesn't go completely, the fingers turn completely towards the left knee, then wherever they can comfortably. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to circle 3 times, big, small, medium circle, whatever is comfortable. So opening up the joint, the wrist joint of the left hand and the ankle joint of the right foot. And then you'll go and you'll do those 3 circles in the opposite direction. Then we'll just change sides. Right leg, left leg back, press through the heel, turn the right fingers to face your knee, and again, 3 circles in one direction. And 3 in the opposite direction. Really feel sometimes that whole kinetic chain, you know, just working in this area and how it really feeds up. And it really connects to the shoulders, the scapula, and the whole thoracic spine. All right, and so the next one we're going to do is the palm lift ups. You keep all 4 fingers spread and keep the knuckles down and just lift up nice and slow. Again, bring as much weight forward as you can or back, depending on your strength, where you are on and what level you're at. And just slowly lowering down, lifting up slow, really slow motion here. And keeping the weight forward if you can, and slowly lowering down. That one more time, nice and slow. You can do a lot more of these on your own. Good, and then we'll turn the palms to face up, lower onto the forearms, sit your hips back. Make sure your elbows and shoulders are pretty much aligned, so your elbows are not much wider than shoulder width apart. And spread your fingers and spread your thumbs out to each side. Make sure the back of the wrist is really grounded. And then start to lift the elbows up from the floor. Keeping the fingernails down, keeping the front of your wrist creases down. Bringing your weight more and more forward if you can, and then keeping the weight forward if you can, and slowly lower the forearms down. We'll do that 3 times. So I'm keeping my weight pretty forward because my wrists are pretty strong. Now I have had a broken wrist in my 40s, by the way, but I was ice skating. And lift up, and one more time to lower. Nice and slow, getting that straight, and beautiful. And just kind of squeeze and release a couple times, and then we'll go on my last one, which is kind of a pulling in, but almost like scrape the fingertips towards the center of the palm. We really pull in and keep on your fingertips. So we're tenting the fingers and we're pulling up. Pull and tent. And then again, bring your weight forward and back, forward and back, forward and back. And then you might want to curl the toes in the floor and test your strength. If you lift your knees and lower, lift your knees and lower. Lift your knees, really cupping the center of your palms. And then maybe all the way up and back to downward dog. Bring the weight back into your heels. Out. Good. Let's just come forward and lower yourself onto your palms. And then let's work on distributing the weight a little bit more evenly in our downward facing dog so that we start to neutralize the wrists a little bit more. So a lot of people use a little lift, a wedge, or just rolling the mat over, or any numerous types of devices to lift the heels of the hands up and neutralize the wrists even more. But you can do it really with that sense of proprioception and bringing your weight back. Hugging in the upper arms will really help to diminish the feeling of jamming the weight down into your wrists. So it helps to distribute and lift the weight up. And then again, even if the heels are not touching the floor, you want to feel like they're loaded. Really press the hips up and back. Work into the fingertips, especially the index finger and the thumb side. And hug the outer upper arms. So you can also go back to neck and shoulders and check in the right formation of going up into down dog, and especially for the internal and external rotation of the arms, how they naturally work together. Okay, so with that, we will go into seated, and I'll do a little bit more with some acupressure points. So just like the finger pull, we'll do a little for the feet. We mesh our fingers between our toes and squeeze one against the other. This could be not so comfortable, but just do the best you can. Good massage and opening up all of that fascia. And then we'll work on our acupressure point, kidney 1, known as gushing spring, very grounding and calming. And since we are working energetically with grounding with the root chakra, this is a good one. It brings the energy down, because a lot of times we have the energy dancing up here all the time, like our thoughts and all of our tension and stress, and mostly your thoughts about said tension and stress, much less the tension and stress itself. So this helps to kind of even out the energy, send it downward when we need it, when we need to ground and stabilize. And then we have bladder 60, which is on the lateral side of the ankle bone. So between the ankle bone at the top and the Achilles tendon, bladder 60. And this has great many benefits, but one that we are particularly interested in for this session is pain in the ankle. But there is so much more that it does. Helps with low back pain, shoulder and neck pain, sciatica. There's a lot of good stuff there. And then there's another point which is directly above that. So to find it, you take your 4 fingers. It's 4 finger width from that point, bladder 60, we just did. And then right at the outside of that 4 fingers width, at the dots, and that's bladder 59. Bladder 59 is really good for swelling in the ankle. If you have had a sprain, this will be good for that, because the sprains present with swelling, painful swelling, so you'll know. And they take a while to resolve themselves. Sometimes it could maybe be a year or 2, your ankle feels pretty right again. So these are really 2 great points. Then we'll do the opposite side. So we'll do a toe cruncher. Everybody's favorite. And squeeze, 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 squeeze. And it hurts so good. And then we'll find those bladder points, bladder 60 and bladder 59 directly above, connecting the dots. And again, move around a little bit because points aren't exactly a precise science. So they could be slightly different or slightly off on each individual person. Good points. And then we want to increase or maintain the arches in the feet. Very important structurally. So very supportive for the weight above it. So we'll bring our feet together. The inner heels don't have to be together, but you want the feet to maintain the grounding into the floor and into your mat. So feet together, especially the big toes. Your big toes, and you're going to slowly start to take your knees apart and look down. You'll see your arches actually lift. They'll get higher and higher and higher. You don't want to lift like Baddha Konasana, like butterfly pose. You don't want to come onto the outside edges of your feet where you're really supinating. You want to stay with an even press on the inner and outer corners of your feet, and just let the knees go apart. This really helps to build up and maintain the support of the arches. It's so important. Also, what's really helpful is just walking barefoot more. And guess what? Yoga classes. Sandy beaches are nice also. Okay, you can do this for as often as you like, especially if you have flatter feet. Because you really want to build that support. Okay, and these come together. We'll come up now into Tadasana. And we'll use a block between the feet for feedback. Just work my view. My head's not cut off. Okay, so squeezing the block on either side, building up proprioception. Again, kind of finding where you land on your outer or inner ankles, working up the whole kinetic chain. And then starting to come up and down on the heels. So this is, again, a little bit more challenging. You might want to be near a wall or some support to help you here. Squeezing in, and you'll feel the lift in the pelvic floor, that connection, grounding, right, to the support in the root chakra, the subtle support there. We're working these energetic centers of the heart, the expansion into the arms and the fingers. Hands are just an extension of the heart. Ankles, feet, legs, all extension of the root, pelvic floor, elbow, squeezing in and up, really working and firming into that block to keep the structure of the ankles even and balanced. And then we'll work the legs a little further apart. And just a really nice, comfortable, wide pose. Tanasana. So we complement the lengthening upward with active compression. So outer legs hugging in and an internal lifting. Yeah, so we can add arms to this, up and out, maintaining the lifting and the active compression the whole time. You really feel this in the pelvic floor. So we'll come down halfway. Back, forward, back, forward. That complement of lengthening upward with an active compression inward. Up, down, and up, down, up, halfway down, one more like that, in, out. Last time up. Beautiful. We're going to turn to the side. We're going to work on dorsiflexing and plantar flexion. Okay, in lunges, you can use your blocks. We'll start on the back knee and just pick up your front heel. So it looks like this. Plantar flexion. And then this is the dorsiflexion. Right, we dorsiflex, and it goes back, heel up, plantar, goes back, dorsal. Good. All right, so put that together. So lifting the heel, keep the back knee down, or you can lift it up, working a little bit more into strengthening. See where you are. And blocks of support or any type of level structure. And then lifting the hips and folding like pyramid pose towards Tanasana, but then adding that dorsiflex. Up. Balance the hips side to side. And then just go back and forth. Bring it down, or the knee up, a little bit more weight, the toes, and then back, weight into the heel. Back knee can bend or straight. And we'll go to the other side. Again, we'll start with the plantar flexion. Again, the back knee can lift, get a little stronger, and then it goes. The ankles are even, and you're not weighting one side or the other. We're seeing a tendency to do so. That really is a good workout for the heels. And then we'll come on to our forearms. And this is really building strength. And not only the wrists and the forearms, but also into the shoulders. So it's kind of working up the whole kinetic chain, lifting up into a down dog, a forearm down dog. Keeping the collarbones really broad and having the core engaged throughout. Bending the knees, slowly picking up the elbows and pushing back to down dog. And then looking forward, slowly bending the elbows to come back down. Forearm down dog. And keep those collarbones nice and broad the whole time. Engagement through the core. And then you can start to add, if you want to go a little bit more, lifting into down dog split. Working the left heel down or up to come forward and lowering onto the forearms. And slowly picking up. Coming forward, lowering down, slowly coming up. Good workout, my friends. Press back and go the other side. Left leg up, coming forward. Slowly lifting, pressing that right heel down if you can. Working into your Achilles tendon. The collarbones do not shorten. And then just press it out. Again, distribute the weight back to your heels. Hug the outer upper arms. And forward. And come down. Nice. Okay, let's open up the chest a little bit more. Bring the knuckles behind you. Interlace the fingers, pull the knuckles back and down, and raise the center of your chest up. Scoop the belly so you don't overdo the low back. And then just reverse the interlace so you stay even in your hands. Good. Work energetically into the heart chakra here. Feel the extension outward, activity, good attachment. Okay, and then we shall come on to the back, working into bridge pose. And you can use bridge with a block again for that feedback. Lowering down, walk the heels in, especially in bridge pose and or Virasana when we go up into a full back bend, upward facing bow. A lot of people just kind of roll the inner legs out, the knees will kind of widen out, and you roll onto the outside of the feet. So again, this builds that proprioception. Lifting up, really firming into that block, firming into the glutes. Use the glutes and the hamstrings. Tighten them up to lift and open the front body. The hip flexors. Walk the shoulders underneath. One more lift up, squeeze that block. Keep squeezing the block and scoop the belly to lower down. Okay. We'll work into stomach 12 point. We're going to round the shoulders forward and connect the fingers behind the collarbones here. And then once you get your fingertips in behind the collarbones, because you're creating a little bit more space there, then you're going to sit up. And that's going to kind of catch the fingers behind there and just really press into all of that tissue, all that connected tissue. And then you can slowly just lift your chin up and take it down and up and down. This is known as empty basin. And it's kind of like the hip crease of the upper body. So there's a lot of kind of knots of energy. There can be a lot of stagnant chi or prana and lymph and blood that collects here. This area is very dense with nerves, blood vessels, a lot of fascia. And this is a great point for working the shoulder, but also elbow and wrist pain. And with nerve impingement, we often get thoracic outlet syndrome, which a lot of times disguises itself as carpal tunnel. So again, it's really connecting this whole chain, right? Not just, oh, my wrist hurts, so it must be something wrong with my wrist. A lot of times it really is something going on with the shoulder, and especially up here in this area. It's the junction of so much density that a lot of things get tangled and impinged. So just working through that, this is such a great point. And really just kind of dig your fingers in, and it'll let up slowly. The more you do it, the easier it gets, and then it starts to feel kind of good. This also works against depression. All right, and then we'll go back into bridge pose for the last position that I want to do, and this is all about kind of working the arms underneath you in such a way, and we're going to use our hips and our legs as weight, kind of calm and settle the energy of the shoulders down into the arms and also the wrists. So let's get into our bridge pose, and you can watch me. I'm going to bring my hands and interlock the fingers underneath me, walk the shoulder blades really close together to lift the back of the rib cage, the side waist. Make sure you're pressing evenly again into your feet. And slowly in this position with our wrists in neutral, right? We're not flexing or extending the wrists. We're going to lower the hips down right on top there. You can let go of the pinky finger that's kind of caught underneath. And then just extend the legs slowly away from you. And just let that weight just kind of feel like a nice massage for your wrists. And just let it kind of smooth the energy out all the way up the arms, the shoulders, the back of the heart, in front of the heart. A little bit of a back bend here in the spine, but it's a very soft back bend. And I invite you to stay in this pose for as long as you like. And when you are ready, you can just lift your hips and release the hands to the side and go into Shavasana for a moment or two. I'm just going to guide you into a simple meditation called the 2-breath meditation. This is from Dale Borglund, who's a really wonderful meditation. So we're going to breathe in and feel a sense of straightening and lengthening upward from the tailbone to the crown of the head. And we're going to exhale down into the lower belly and feeling a sense of grounding, connecting with those two energetic centers, the heart and the root. And then our next breath is going to be expanding the heart space, so really connecting to the heart chakra now, and connecting to that element of expansion. And then as you exhale, just sending out in all directions that energy, surrendering it out to spaciousness. And then again, breathing in all the way up to the crown, feeling a rising energy, a sense of motivation. And exhale, round root. Find your foundation. Inhale into the center of your heart. Feel expansion. Feel that sense of universal love, connecting self and other. And exhale, sending out that circuitry of energy in all directions of space. Then you can end up just going in and out through the heart, but if that sense of lifting up and grounding really helps to substantiate your feeling of being centered, then keep utilizing that as part of the meditation. Eventually, it's just all about kind of in and out. And then we recognize this sense of being whole within and throughout all of these parts that we talk about, right? In essence, we are always considering ourselves and others as whole. So recognizing that wholeness, recognizing that we don't have to look at another person and only see what needs to be fixed or improved. And also we do it to ourselves quite a bit. So just recognizing wholeness within and without. Wholeness is the complete integration of our being. I think that we are not a part from the whole, but we are a part of the whole. So I want to thank you again for your commitment to working towards your own wholeness and well-being. And I hope that these sessions have been a bit of a support for you, and maybe you have found one or two things that you can keep and personalize in your own program or yoga practice or both. So I send you out all my love and gratitude and all of my dedication to all the teachers and especially to that teacher.